Good evening. It is now 6:01. I'm calling this study session to order. Study sessions are limited to commission discussion. No public comment is taken. No action or vote will be taken this evening. The study session serves as an opportunity for the commission to dialogue and provide feedback on a proposed item prior to a public hearing. On the agenda is a craft rose on Vaughan. If staff would please come forward for the presentation.
All right, good evening, Commission. Tonight I have for you a study session item for what we're calling the craft row homes on Vaughan. This site is located on Vaughan and Elm. It's on the east side of Gilbert Road, just east of the parking garage. Tonight we're looking for feedback from you, just any general feedback that you might have on the project, as well as feedback on the elevations, please. All right, the site is zoned multifamily low. It is currently a vacant parcel. It's approximately 0.16 acres. Currently, it's proposed as 2 dwelling units on the site, which is the maximum number of dwelling units that can be on this site for the zoning district. This is just a screenshot of the landscape plan for you. We do have a few comments that we sent back to the applicant regarding the amount of open space for this plan. Due to the multifamily low zoning district, they are required to have 35% minimum common open space. And the plans were unclear on whether that was being met or not because it was combined with the private open space. So we just need some clarification to ensure that they are in fact meeting the 35%, but this is what's currently proposed. You can see kind of in the middle, there's a joint courtyard that is between the 2 separate units. All right, and then these are the elevations. They are mainly consist of stucco along the sides and the rear elevation. The front facade is going to be brick in 2 different colors. You can see the blackish brick and then the more the white colored brick. The stoops on the front are proposed as well, which are in line with the Heritage Village Center zoning district. It provides kind of an area for sitting or gathering or just something to take the attention away from the garage being the forefront of those units. All right, in addition, you're going to have metal and glass accents. We have requested from the applicant, one of the comments that we sent back, that they try to incorporate some of this brick material around the sides, maybe even the rear of the building, what we call a 360-degree architecture. Right now, it's just the front brick facade and then stucco all the way around. So we are looking for just a little bit more to be added to this, so it's not quite so monotonous in the materials. Something that we would appreciate your feedback on as well. We have also suggested that they perhaps try to incorporate another color if possible, but I know that this is kind of the vibe they're going for, so I'm not sure if that's something that they're open to. This is just a closer look at the colors and materials that are being proposed. So you have grayish, whitish, very modern, mixed with industrial styling. And again, we're just looking for feedback on those elevations and then any other general feedback that you have.
Thank you, Kristen, for the presentation. As this is a study session, it does not require a vote. However, this is the time for commissioners to provide feedback and ask questions of staff and the applicant or consultant. Would anybody like to start?
Yeah.
Commissioner Baugh.
At the front of the street, I see this synthetic turf along, I guess if I'm following the legend on the landscape plan, is synthetic turf typically seen in the Heritage District? Are there spots where it's present?
Not in the commercial areas as far as I'm aware, Commissioner Baugh. I am less familiar with the residential, so I would need to confirm and maybe get back to you on that.
Okay. I actually don't mind synthetic turf, I think sometimes the challenge is there's some good-looking synthetic turf and there's others that's not.
Right.
But, and the thing is, it is like commercial adjacent. It's a lot, just one away from the commercial area, but, the other thing I was confused about is the courtyard between the two buildings. Do you think that's there to satisfy the 35% requirement? I don't understand the utility of that space there. It seems so narrow. What's its purpose?
Sure. So Chair Kendall, Commissioner Baugh, without having my applicant here to answer that question, I would assume that it's there because these units, although zoned multifamily low, are functioning more as a single-family attached style home where you have, your own side on this side and your own side on the other side, where that courtyard is helping separate the two.
Yeah, but the thing is, but they're not separating living space. They're separating stairs. And
It also provides an additional door openings for each unit as well, so you don't have to use the stoops.
This is an assumption that it's a mother-in-law studio behind the garages, and that's the access point for them, because they do have stairs.
from the
at
bottom
front.
level?
The bottom level.
Okay.
And there is turf at Joe's Barbecue and I think the yard. I've got several properties with turf, and some of them do look really bad if they aren't done right and mix in with real vegetation.
Yeah, and so my thought was, I'm glad you explained that, because I could not, and see it here on the plan that that's a bottom level door for a,
I had to look at it for like 25 minutes
Yeah.
to figure out what the reason was, as opposed to not just having them be a true row like Georgetown C style.
and this is one plat a lot with the duplex on there. It's not, okay.
Yes,
So there's no proper line down the demising of the two
correct.
structures, okay. I now understand why you have that. And if someone wanted to rent like a bottom unit out to somebody separate from the upper unit, it could potentially be achieved.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the new build homes, and especially in East Mark, they're in these mother-in-law studios or kind of ADU type things, but they're actually attached.
Okay.
So that's just an assumption, but that's the only
So-
reason I can think of.
So that brings, back to the next point. I like the design. And I don't know if I've seen like this so much down that area. And so the next question would come up to say, okay, is there some representative architecture that that they're pulling, inspiration from in the area?
So Chair Kendall, Commissioner Baugh, they did send me some inspiration pictures. Those pictures were very, very similar to this, with the exception of, there were like 3 attached row home styles. But they don't reference specific architectural stylings, so I don't have an answer
Yeah.
for that.
Again, I'm not opposed to it. I just was curious if there's something in the area that they looked at as inspiration to get there. I don't think it takes much to improve the other 3 sides of the property. So when we encourage folks to do like, 360 degree architecture, I don't think that means that all the other 3 sides have to be the same level as what the
No.
facade is. And I do believe there's probably light coaching that could occur with them to get them there without wholesale change of it. In particular, some of the ways you can improve that is just around your windows and the treatments that could be there. Like, for example, I love that black metal awning is likely around, I think, above the doors or something to that effect. There's some ways probably on the side where you could create a greater degree of variation without blowing up the budget or dramatically changing the plan.
To touch on that one, they did offer to add some brick above and below the windows. I don't have a visual to represent that. I did recommend that maybe they could bring some of the brick around the bottom floor as well, which I know you don't see from the street. You can still see as a resident of that unit. So I'll have more detailed information for you when this comes back.
I might look to some of my resident architects on this panel, but sometimes you see along those windows on the bottom, if this is an environment that wasn't so harsh, you would have, like a tray with plants or something like that would grow in there. And there's probably a faux version or something along those lines that could accomplish the same appearance. That's, I think, the only comments I have.
Any other commissioners have comments, questions?
Thank you. I have some questions on that north elevation. Is that stucco like a hard paint line to delineate the two, or how is that actually being finished, and how is that being maintained? And it's a perfect line on the image. I would love to see a perfect install with that strong of a line with such opposing colors. So I've got reservations with that line. Is it all stuccoed and they're just,
Yeah, Chair Kendall, Commissioner Updike, it is all stucco. These are the only elevations I have, so that is one of the comments that I sent back, was that we need a bit more information on these. We don't have a lot of detail to really efficiently review what's being seen. So they'll be providing detailed information, but it is all stucco.
okay. Yeah, I understand the design intent to have them be very different, kind of quick visually. They've got a lot of similar aesthetics, but you just painted one color and the other color. And it, years down the road when it needs a paint refresh, like how is that gonna work? I feel like that intention needs to be handled with not just paint. And whether it's, the suggestion of adding more architectural features to the windows, and we can have more of that 360 architecture, and somehow those are different design aesthetics and you're not just relying on paint. But it's the north elevation that I'm struggling with the most, especially if it's one finish from unit to unit.
And I'm just speculating here, but more than likely, they will have to have a demising wall between the two with an air gap. And so there will be some sort of pressure relief point in between the two units that will be a seamless transition for maintenance. Just saying.
Yeah, well, you know residential way better than I do. I trust you on that one.
I think that won't be an issue. But I know what you mean when somebody tries to paint clean lines and, it just doesn't look right. And
It doesn't look right.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you see that gap between the two, it's because for financing townhomes, you can't connect walls. But in this case, I think
It's not a condo regime. It's one parcel, one unit.
exactly.
But I still think they need to do a demising wall.
They will, but I don't think it'd be like a sandwich wall back to back. I don't think there's a need for an air gap here because they're not selling units off.
Oh, gotcha. I thought that was more for fire code.
No.
Okay.
No, usually, that's for financing and insurance purposes, not because of building code. But nonetheless, you could also achieve the same thing by having one building, let's say the black, have an extra 3 or 4 inch length to it than the other, so it kind of marks a clear distinction between the two of them. The other part is that if that truly is a mother-in-law's or something like that, an access point on the bottom, you could soften up that internal corridor with a little bit of wrapping the brick around the front, and not for the whole side of it, but like the bottom, 6 to 8 feet of it, and only for, maybe like a 3 or 4 foot deep gap. But it's another way to sort of bring some more architecture on there. And you could do the same thing at the garages, wrap it just a little bit around the corner on some of the points without running it the whole entire length of it. I'm less concerned about the back because truthfully, no one really sees the back that much. And
West side, I think.
yeah.
Sorry, you done?
Yes, I'm done.
Okay. I think I would love to see it wrapped in all brick, but I think that's a very large expense that probably isn't within the budget for a project like this. Yeah, Commissioner Baugh was, I don't believe the exact verbiage he used, but giving direction or inspiration, I think, for projects like this would be very helpful. Even putting the brick above and below the windows or doing the pop-out, overhang that's like on the front door. But also, I think some metal trellises and some vines And there are quite a few different ones that can take full sun, the afternoon sun, and up against the stucco would really break it up and could actually make it look just, I don't know, make the black not so black too, and not so harsh. So I think that that would be the cheapest way to maximize the beauty of that very large open space of stucco. As far as the colors go, I am unfortunately guilty of using very similar color schemes. I do think they are being dated and they are not timeless. And so as I've gone back and renovated homes, I've gone with more timeless colors. I do think this is a very modern look, but it's also a very timeless, it's timeless as well. And so if they're open to any other colors and we could see renderings and give input on it, I think it'd be great, but you know, I don't know how nitpicky we really can get with that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Clausen?
Yeah, I actually like the monochromatic delineation between the units. Totally agree with Commissioner Bigelow on the potential for trellises and natural greenery to break up the large stucco facade on the west and potentially the east sides. I wouldn't mind seeing, you know, one additional material also added into the elevations on the front, potentially like a natural wood material, I think could, and it doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, whether, and I know these are preliminary and this is a study session, but you know, a natural wood door, it could be incorporated in the garage potentially, stair rails. Is the applicant thinking about just a concrete driveway? Is that just poured concrete? Oh, no, pavers.
I'm
It is.
assuming they're
Okay.
pavers.
Yeah, it looks like pavers. Yeah, I
Without the
think
legend.
I would agree with that decision. It was hard to tell on the elevations, but yeah, it does look like pavers there. So yeah, I think I would just say, you know, one more material, maybe some natural wood, and then, yeah, the trellises. I think that's a great idea.
One more observation, from the walkway to behind the garages. I don't know if there's any windows in there, but that's gonna be a very tall, narrow walkway. And I would assume there aren't windows because they don't want the tenants looking, you know, just for privacy reasons. I don't know if there's any greenery that could take that minimal, I guess it is south facing, so they could probably do some greenery and trellises or different things or vines on that as well. But that is just gonna be, even this, from this point of view, you can see on the white side just how bland and tall that is. So just an observation.
Thank you.
I have one more thing to add, sorry. It could be nice to see some level and differentiation and depth somewhere as well. Because it looks, does look like very much a box and there's not a whole lot of depth change. So it could be interesting in addition to some, the addition of a material to add some depth somewhere in the windows or something like that.
Any other comments from the commission?
Yeah, sorry, one more. Could you explain the tier level in the backyard? From the ground floor to the second and third floor? Or is it the second floor to the third floor?
It is. Chair Kendall, Commissioner Bott. So I didn't include the floor plans. I'm sorry. I didn't think it was going to be a huge point of discussion tonight. I thought we would focus more on the elevation, so I apologize for that. The ground floor is the garage, and then you do have a livable space behind that. And then the second floor is additional livable space, and then the third floor is additional livable space. From that second floor, you do have the raised balcony, which you're seeing on the north elevation. So that is it's access from the second floor. Does that answer your question?
I guess I'm trying to understand why, when I look at the west elevation, you see the step at the rear. Is that just because there's a setback requirement for height at a, usually typically at a, 45 that requires it to go back? Because I'm just looking at it and I'm wondering,
I don't have an answer for you. I see your question, though. And I will find out.
it's
for
an
you.
unusual flat roof like that, so I wondered if there,
There aren't step backs required because it is adjacent to multifamily on all sides. So it's 10 feet from the rear, from the sides, from the front, it's 10 feet all the way around, so that there shouldn't be a step back associated there. So I will get more information to
Yeah.
present to you at the hearing.
I think, and I don't care how they do the interior floor plans. It seemed like maybe opportunity to have a rooftop element right there on that, above that second floor with maybe the ability to sort of increase like an outdoor, private open space there. I could see railing or something like that. That could also be another way to improve the 360 architecture. It would have to change their window layout and their doors, and I'm not going to push somebody to do that, but I am curious for you just to ask the question, did they consider that as a potential addition of private outdoor amenity space?
Okay, thank you.
Would that contribute to outdoor livable space, square footage for the 35%?
Chair Kendall, Commissioner Bigelow, it would not be common open space. It would be
Okay.
considered private open space since it's attached to that unit and accessed by that unit.
That makes sense.
Are you referring to the roof on the,
On the second level.
okay.
I mean, I could see someone really want to having, as an outdoor living space, you could even have a little canopy over there, ramada or something like that. But look, these are rentals, right? They're not platted lots. No one's buying these things. They're for that reason. So I'm sure there's some economies of scale that require them to create great product without blowing the budget. And that might just be a bridge too far. But I'd just be interesting to ask him the question.
Adam wants to put a hot tub on it.
It'd be a perfect place. And you mentioned that they're likely to be rentals. The applicant has asked about a process for condo platting, so it is possible that the multifamily, they could be sold off.
Okay.
Perfect. Any other comments, questions? All right, perfect. Thank you, commissioners, for your feedback. I will now adjourn the study session. It is now 6:23, and I'm calling the regular meeting to order. If staff would please take roll call.
Chair Kendall,
Here.
Vice Chair Updike. Here. Commissioner Baugh,
Here.
Commissioner Bigelow,
Here.
Commissioner Clausen. Here. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. At this time, members of the public may comment on matters not on the agenda. The commission's response is limited to responding to criticism, asking staff to review a matter commented upon, or asking the matter to be put on a future agenda. Are there any communications from citizens at this time?
Mr. Chair, there are not.
Thank you. We'll move into administrative items. Consider approval of the minutes for the regular meeting held on July 16th, 2025. Are there any edits the commission wishes to make? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion for the approved minutes for the meeting on July 16th, 2025.
Move to approve the minutes from July 16th of 25.
Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
Mr. Chair, I will abstain. I did not participate in the meeting
Okay.
prior.
All right, the minutes are approved. Thank you, Commission. We'll now move into the public hearing. Items will be heard at one public hearing, at which time anyone wishing to comment on a public hearing item may do so. Comments will be heard in those of support or opposition to an item. In order to comment on a public hearing item, you must fill out a public comment form indicating the item number on which you wish to be heard. Once the hearing is closed, there will be no more further public comment unless requested by a member of the commission. After the public hearing, the commission may act on all items not requiring additional staff, public, or commission comment with a single vote. It's my understanding that we have a member of the commission who needs to recuse himself. And please note that Commissioner Baugh has recused himself for item 3.
Mr. Chair, we just need one moment to update our names on the voting platform,
you.
so thank you.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearings for DR 25-24 South Anchor. This item has been requested to continue to September 17, 2025 at the Redevelopment Commission. Prior to looking for a motion to continue, I'd like to ask staff if there are any requests to speak, in which we have one. Claire Jones? You can go ahead and push the button there. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to come up and just ask a couple questions. My husband and I own the property at 40 North Gilbert Road, which is the southwest corner of Gilbert Road and Bruce. So just essentially, it'll be the other corner of where the South Anchor is going to be built. So I have two questions that are unrelated to each other. The first is, I'm looking at a photograph that I took earlier today. So from Bruce Avenue up to what is currently Washington, the alley that runs behind our properties, there's 5 buildings. And there's very, very old and out-of-date utility electrical wires back here. If you're looking south from Bruce, the electrical poles are on the west side of the alley, and there's twisted old cables that run into each other and out over to our buildings there. And I think my question is, I don't know to what degree the alley is going to be updated, but I would just like to ask if somebody could review and potentially improve the electrical lines that are there. So that's my first question. And then my second question is not really as specific, but since my property is part of the Lacey Track neighborhood that's back there, I just have a concern about parking during the construction phase of the South Anchor, and I would just like to see if it can be reviewed if the contractors and the workers will all have on-site parking during that, or possibly across the street in the public parking or in the lot caddy corner, just so we don't have a lot of extra overflow of, many hours of parking into the neighborhood. Okay? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire. Staff, is that an item that we can address? I know that utility lines are a little iffy as far as SRP goes. Is that correct?
We can certainly take note of that and look into it.
Okay. And then parking as well?
You want to address it now? Yes, well,
Something to make note on that, Kevin with Gilbert Now pointed out to me, or called me 2-3 years ago, and there was just a random hole in his asphalt that just like fell through. Don't know what it was, don't know what he did or who he told, but that whole area should definitely be surveyed by the town before we start disrupting the earth too much.
Especially with big equipment.
But this was like, just like looked like an old well that they had asphalted over. I don't know what it was. It was weird.
Chair Kendall, with the parking during construction, that's something that we typically work with all developments when they come into the district, particularly since sites do not have the space for a service yard and the space for the employee parking. So that's an operational item that when they come in, we'll make sure to ensure that, like Claire mentioned, there's public spaces across the street at the chamber which are open to the public, and some other areas in which we'll direct for the workers to park there and ensure that their service yards are included on site. And if they cannot include it on site, there are some scenarios in which we have gone into agreements with developers to allow for some service yards that do not impact the existing developments and some other town-owned property. So something that economic development staff does work closely with those applicants to do to make sure we have minimal disruptions.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Any more comments? All right, hearing none, I will close the public hearing on DR 25-24 South Anchor and look for the commissioner for a motion to continue. Do I have a motion to continue?
Motion to continue.
I have a first. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, please vote. All right, we can continue. Is that everything on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, just the communications.
Perfect. Councilmember Torgerson, do you have anything you'd like to report or on current or future events?
Thank you, Chair Kendall. I'd like to report myself for confusing days and showing up like a slob out of my shop, so please forgive me for that. You may have noticed that the Heritage District has received some new eye-catching wayfinding signs through the downtown. With Phase 1 of this project nearing completion, visitors will be greeted with directional navigation into the Heritage District, guiding them to various service areas such as parking, entertainment destinations, and public amenities. The vibrant signage is paired with a new mark for the Heritage District that establishes a recognizable icon what? There's an icon throughout the downtown and new signs that communicate the uniqueness of the district's three distinct regions: canal, water tower, and the railway. And celebrate fall at Gilbert's Harvest in the Heritage District. Get ready for a month-long celebration that brings the enchantment of fall to life. September 26th through November 2nd, there will be live music, fall flavors, cultural celebrations, and new this year is the Great Gilbert Ground Gourd Hunt, a whimsical scavenger hunt adventure featuring Ray Villafane's pumpkin displays. You can get more information by visiting www.discovergilbert.com/harvest. And that is all that I have, except what is emblemized? Emblemized? Is it emblemized? Is that the word that I just botched horribly? Do I have an embolism in my brain, or okay. I forgive you for tripping me up, sir. Thank you.
All right, I'm glad someone got their thesaurus out. I would pay $5 every day to hear Councilmember Torgerson say whimsical. Commissioners, do we have any updates? Commissioner Bigler?
I don't know the exact date, but Farmers Market is moving, October 4th. It's officially going to be moved to Chandler Gilbert Community College, no longer be in the district.
Any other updates? All right. Mike, do you have a report for us tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chair, just 2 items. So the town of Gilbert is accepting applications for 2 positions on the Redevelopment Commission. This role provides an essential opportunity to contribute to Gilbert's ongoing redevelopment. The Redevelopment Commission advises the town council on matters concerning the Heritage District. Members review new development proposals, monitor ongoing projects, and help implement the town's redevelopment plan. The town seeks professionals with experience in architectural and landscape design, planning, finance, and related fields to serve on this commission. And that window is open now, and applications must be submitted by 7 a.m. on Tuesday, September 9th. And then my other update is just to say there's a lot of activity going on in the Heritage District, and a great way to stay up to date is by visiting diggingthedistrict.com. Information shared on the site is intended to serve as a resource for Gilbert residents and visitors regarding projects under development, including wayfinding, new developments, events, parking, and infrastructure. So just a plug to make sure you visit and check out diggingthedistrict.com. And that is all for me.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, all commissioners. Appreciate your participation. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All right, let's vote to adjourn. The time is now 6:37. The Redevelopment Commission meeting is adjourned. Thank you.